decide to engage in the anime community discussions, you are equally signing yourself up to see the dumbest takes and arguments. People with massive egos over fiction, some of the most masterclass baiting and interaction farming, people who truly do read with their eyes closed, and the ones that are always loud and wrong. They're everywhere in the community across every fandom, but it's simply part of the experience, as backing down off a take tends to not happen as much. If there is one thing above all the ideas I mentioned though, it's comparisons. Having two series even breathe in the same demographic is setting them up for somebody to eventually compare them because of any aspect they both share. Around the time I was first getting into things like Twitter, the biggest comparison I had seen was My Hero Academia versus Black Clover. Two different series, two different authors, two different art styles, two different power systems and main characters, but yet compared by almost everything because they were in the same magazine. For the longest time, I would see comparison about Deku's and Asa's power requirement process. Until this day, we still have the extremely overblown woman lead conversation, but these days it has certainly died down. Debates in shonen are always going to be around, and if you're not going to give input towards them, they become something you just have to get used to seeing a lot. I tend to stay away from them as people get offended really easily no matter how civil you speak to them on a topic, but this recent debate is something I decided to finally cave to and air out my thoughts, because believe me when I say that it literally will not go away. The shonen MC transformation and power up is pretty much a staple. Across the heavier battle shonen series, the main character at some point will attain a newfound level of strength, which can lead to a further understanding of the power system. One of them at the very center being Super Saiyan. The golden-haired warrior officially debuted in its anime in episode 95 of Dragon Ball Z in 1991. Unknowingly to Toriyama at the time, this transformation would end up being one of the most recognizable transformations around the globe. From the memes, skits, edits, montages, cosplays, universal debates, and power scaling, Super Saiyan became a pillar of all time. A pillar that till this day still stands tall, being a transformation that many would consider to be iconic. I too enjoy Super Saiyan, and so does my own father, as he grew up watching Dragon Ball Z too. Now fast forward 31 years and 7 months later, the year is 2023, and once again we are at another point in anime history with another transformation debuting. One Piece has been known to be the king of jump. Whether you hate it or not, the high sales as well as the investment and love from Japan clearly establishes its position at the top. Luffy's transformations throughout the journey has always been going through the rotation of gears, each gear coming out at crucial points in the series, addressing the opponents or issues in front of our protagonists. It is in this same month that we finally have reached the peak of the gears with Gear 5, a transformation that embodies the spirit of Joy Boy, the essence of freedom and the enjoyment of battle. With its debut in the manga first coming back in 2022, there was a somewhat controversial take that Gear 5 would end up being more iconic than Super Saiyan. When I first saw this, I thought to myself, I get it. Two giant shonen jump series animated by the same studio, and just knowing how the shonen community is, I expected this type of banter. At some points, I thought the responses were kinda amusing, but what I did not expect was for this conversation to drag on an entire year later. First off, I need somebody, anybody, to explain to me in the comment section down below what is the obsession with wanting something to be iconic. The word has come up so many times with this debate that I almost muted it to preserve my timeline. I do not understand though why people care so much about it to the point of arguing. I get it's cool to be able to see the world like it, but if it moves you the way you wanted it to, does it really matter what the rest of the world thinks? Now of course I knew this would be a nice way to bait Dragon Ball fans to get angry and upset, and yeah, it was entertaining, but over time this slowly got personal for some fans of the series, bringing up things like view numbers and calling people out their names over fiction, mind you. Ultra Instinct ended up catching a stray because of this weird obsession of which the anime community has coined the term of breaking the internet. Breaking the internet coincides with the idea of causing servers and websites to crash due to the overwhelming amount of traffic that has struck at one time. If the anticipation and the abundance of viewers manage to do this, it causes the said community to hold it over people's heads like it's a huge +1, when in reality it's kinda obnoxious. Anime fans have this weird obsession of holding quirky situations close to their pride as fans, and while it's something I wish wasn't so common, this episode did allow it this time. Gear 5 did in fact cause some issues with websites. When the episode dropped, Crunchyroll shot themselves within the hour. YouTubers were tweeting about it, and I nor my buddy couldn't use not only Crunchyroll, but other websites to house the episode as well. It took me almost an extra hour going through buffering and crashing to finally be able to watch the episode, so yes, do what you will with that information. So with that all being said, did Gear 5 become iconic? My answer is at a no for the time being, and I want to explain this in the most reasonable way without downplaying the transformation, because I think I do have a good point to make. So keyboard warriors, please put the gun down because I know you're aiming it at me. Episode 1071 of One Piece is undoubtedly iconic for One Piece fans. You waited so long for this moment and your excitement showed all night long, and I want every One Piece fan to know that if you feel it is iconic, then so be it. Who am I to tell you how you should feel? That just reeks ego, and I don't really have the right to say say otherwise just because I disagree. The thing I need One Piece fans to just come to a calm understanding of, however, is that you cannot shove the term iconic down the rest of the world's throat in light of your excitement when the term itself implies a long period of time looking back on it. Something being iconic is not something you can declare instantly just because you are a fan of said thing, otherwise that is just bias. An entire fandom claiming it is just a giant no duh moment because you're so invested in the journey that why wouldn't you push for this idea? Yet things do not become iconic overnight. I would assume that in order for something to even steer in the direction of becoming iconic, you have to let its presence marinate over time and see how that moment reaches different people and mediums. As an anime only and not a diehard One Piece fan compared to the fandom itself, Gear 5 to me felt like an event the same way Ultra Instinct did, the same way Super Saiyan probably was back when it first aired. The only difference now is that Super Saiyan has decades under its belt. I'm emphasizing the fact that I said to me it is not objective but purely subjective, so please do not go barking in the comments about this. I'm just gonna put a smiley face under and leave it at that. It's way too early to determine if Gear 5 is iconic, and if you keep trying to force that narrative, it just pushes people to react negatively. Michael Jackson didn't become an iconic artist overnight. Black Ops 2 didn't become an iconic game overnight, but what made them end up as iconic is the results that sparked up over the years of conversation and consistency with their existence. It doesn't help that One Piece fans and Dragon Ball fans have been in the longest bait war I have ever seen in regards to tweets, because it really feels like you're watching a Tom and Jerry episode waiting to see which fandom can dunk on each other harder first. This debate has been dragging for so long, and I don't understand how people aren't tired of it yet. I have seen so many people get so angry and upset, practically raging on the timeline, and it's just a silly debate. It's important to remember that no matter how passionate you feel, there are things worth scrolling past and protecting your enjoyment of something. There are people who have never even experienced One Piece talking about the series in a great way because of the cartoonish approach with Gear 5, and that alone should be considered a victory. At the end of the day, Gear 5 reaching iconic status will not dethrone Super Saiyan, it'll just accompany it alongside. And Super Saiyan won't be the last iconic transformation either, there will always be something new to join the spotlight. I heavily encourage One Piece fans to just give it time to seep throughout the anime community and the rest of the world, so that when we look back on episode 1071 in a decade or so, we can really have a discussion about the iconic status. Gear 5 is a unique and amazingly foreshadowed power-up that thematically embraces Luffy's character, and that is a fact that cannot be stripped away from these recent events. To end this off, I'm begging all of you to just please let this debate die. There is no ground to be gained at this moment, and quite frankly, it hurts more constructive conversation about Gear 5 more than anything, as it gives people ground to just outright slander One Piece. And for my Dragon Ball fans, you literally have nothing to prove, so knock it off. For now, continue to enjoy the year on One Piece, and please stop falling for each other's easy bait. That's pretty much it for me. If you are a One Piece fan or are new around here, make sure to hit that subscribe button or come back next week, as I am finally diving into my anime-only thoughts about the Warrior at Liberation and everything surrounding Gear 5. As always, thank you for watching, stay safe out there, and I will catch you guys in the next one.